I'm joined here today by the one, the only. It is, of course, the Haitian sensation himself, joining us live from quarantine. Neil Magny set to main event against Michael Chiesa at UFC Fight Island. What's going on, sir? How are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Listen, I feel like the word for you going through this period is going to be quarantine, right? You're going to have a ton of quarantine. You're going to be in Vegas quarantining. They're going to send you to Fight Island quarantining. I assume you're going to be sick of that word quarantine real soon.
Yeah, dude, it's all a part of the process. I just have to get to that mindset of just embracing the process at this point. I mean, I landed in Vegas today and it was like 1 p.m. and I was like, why the heck am I here so early? Just to go sit in the hotel room and do nothing. And then here I am 5 hours later, still sitting here. So just kind of embracing the process and whatever comes my way at this point.
I've heard from a lot of guys, like, it sounds like some people have, maybe a little bit of anxiety before the quarantine, right? 'Cause, you're gonna be doing nothing. You're sitting in a hotel room and you're just sitting there, like, you have to do something and not be bored out of your mind.
Yeah, I mean, I at this point it's like trial and error. I mean, I remember the first time I had the quarantine, I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna be stuck at the hotel for a few days. I'm gonna bring a PlayStation with me and I'll just like game out the whole time. And then like I did that and I just felt too distracted. I felt like it didn't feel like fight week. It didn't feel like there was nothing to really endure or embrace. And it kind of just it took the grittiness out of it. And I just didn't like the feel of fight week. So after that, I was just like, dude, screw it. I'm just gonna go out there and just be miserable for the whole time. Just embrace every opportunity that I get my way. And I kind of liked it. I was like, it gave you a lot of time to like be alone with your thoughts and really focus in on what you need to get done.
I think some guys, they like being able to focus on their fight the other time, and some guys need a distraction. I assume you're one of those guys, like, you like being able to think about it this whole time?
Yeah, I mean, give or take. I mean, there are definitely times where it gets overwhelming. You want to kind of check out for a bit and do something else. But overall, having a free time where I can focus in and then play the fight over and over in my mind, I feel like it benefits me. So I don't mind it at all.
And so you have a bunch of stuff. So you have the, I believe it's 2-day quarantine in Vegas. You have this super long flight, right? Because you have to get to Fight Island, of course. Quarantine in the hotel again. But for the flight, is there some kind of game plan? Because I assume this one, maybe you think about the fighter a little bit during the flight, but eventually it's just going to get boring sitting in that airplane the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, so I just got word that we're leaving like the crack of dawn pretty much to go to the airport and fly out. So, I mean, at this point, it's just a matter of just kind of just enduring it, like just trying to stay awake as much as possible. That way, when I do get on that flight, I can just take some melatonin and just kind of knock out, and hopefully, I sleep a majority of the flight and wake up in country. But we'll kind of see how it goes. I mean, as long as I have some leg room on the flight, I think I'll be okay.
That's right, because you're 6'3", right? Like, I assume for you flying in coach, it's got to be like, you got the neck cranked, your knees up to your ears. Like, it's got to be pretty awful for you.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing, dude. I'm just like I don't even care about first class. Just give me some leg room. Like even if the seat doesn't recline, I just need somewhere to stretch my legs out. Like if I can get that, I'll be a happy man going over to Abu Dhabi.
Well, it looks like the UFC, they hooked the fighters up, right? Like, I saw they put the media and coach, and it makes sense because we know how the UFC is with the media. But it sounds like you guys got like the cabin. I don't know if you guys get the showers and everything, but it seemed like they hooked you guys up pretty well.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely saw that with a few fighters in the past, but I was kind of put myself in a mindset where I didn't like set my expectations too high. Where it's like, oh hell yeah, main event. I'm getting first class. I'm sitting in the
Right.
front. I'm gonna be laid up the whole time, and then I realized that I'm sitting literally right outside the toilet. So I don't want to set the expectations too high to be disappointed. So at this point, I mean, if I get leg room, I'm happy. If I get coach or I'm sorry, not coach. If I get first class where I can stretch out completely, even better. But right now, I'm just expecting some leg room.
I think a lot of people, they think you guys are gonna be, you got the nice food, the champagne and stuff, but you guys are cutting weight, right? Like, the food, you get to watch the champagne walk by, but you can't touch any of that stuff. You got what, your gallon of water and all that stuff?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I actually enjoy it. I'm one of those weird fighters that like embraces everyone around him eating. Like as I'm losing weight, my coaches tend to gain weight. I'm like, oh yeah, order that pizza, order that steak. No, no, no. It's slower. Yeah, there you go. Enjoy it. How does it taste? What does it smell like? Like I'm one of those guys that like completely just embraces the whole process. So for me, seeing all the food and everything else, like it doesn't bother me at all.
Before we get to the fight with you and Michael Chiesa, we saw the fight poster come out. I assume you've seen it, obviously, because you're on the poster. Did you
Yeah.
see all the comments that accompanied the poster?
No, I totally missed it. No, I didn't see it. Oh yeah.
The big thing with the comments, that the way they have you guys lined up, you have one guy on one side and one person on the other, and then your ears are right in the middle, and you both obviously have the cauliflower ears, and everyone's like, "Did you really need to put the cauliflower ear versus cauliflower ear in the middle?" Like, it seemed like people were having a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a give or take. I mean, do I take my this cauliflower? Do I take that one? I mean, they're both pretty bad. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm guessing I'm just happy that they just exposed my hairline on there, dude. Just like that's completely way back in the middle of my forehead kind of thing. So I'll take the cauliflower picture over the bad hairline picture any day.
Well, at least you still have some hair, right? Like, I assume you haven't reached that point yet where you have to start considering, the Dollar Shave Club sponsorship and the stuff like that.
I definitely haven't passed them up. I mean, Manscaped's doing pretty good so far,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
the day they come out with a head raise, I might have to go ahead and just bite the bullet and shave it all off.
Well, I have to say, like, I assume with Manscaped, like, you should not be using the same the same shaver for everywhere. Like, you'd have to be, maybe make something more specific just for the hair.
Yeah, right. I agree.
Listen, for this fight with Michael Chiesa, before we get to, we have to talk about the matchup and all that stuff. I'm assuming you're doing a lot of media right before this fight, especially with the main event. What's like the most question you've heard a million times, where when you hear it, you're like, all right, here we go, let's do this again.
So like the thing that's been interesting for me, like everyone's trying to pin Michael Chiesa in a box, labeling him as just being a grappler. But I kind of been on that road too many times before to kind of look past an opponent or underestimate what their abilities are. So for me, going to this fight with Mike Chiesa, just kind of respecting who he is as a fighter and what he's accomplished so far. I mean, the guy's undefeated at welterweight so far. He's fought and beaten two of the similar guys that I fought in the past. So he definitely does have a pretty well-rounded skill set. So it's been more so just kind of like listening to what the questions were, but getting back to focus and understanding that Mike Chiesa is a difficult problem to solve, and I can't afford to go in this fight where I'm looking at him as being one-dimensional or anything like that.
You know what? You're definitely right, because I feel like every preview we're seeing, it's like Michael Chiesa, the grappler, versus Neil Magny, the striker. I feel like that's what they've sort of pinned you guys as. When in reality, like even your last fight, right? Like you showed your grappling against someone like Robbie Lawler. Like I feel like both of you guys are trying to sort of put you in a box this matchup when that doesn't really tell the full story.
For sure, yeah. I mean, it makes it interesting because as a fighter, you don't want to kind of go out there and just kind of fall into those traps necessarily where you're less overthinking your opponent or looking past particular things, and you don't use your full arsenal to go out there and win the fight. So it's been a pretty crazy couple weeks here, just trying to focus on the game plan and what I need to do against Mike Chiesa.
And so you go in there. Obviously, we always have to ask about the matchup, right? People are saying it's grappler versus striker. You look at this one. Obviously, you know more than a lot of people do looking at it. But how do you like the matchup with this one?
I love the matchup. Like I said, Mike Chiesa is undefeated at welterweight. He's riding a 3-fight win streak right now. So for me, I feel like these are the kind of fights that forces me to rise to the occasion. I can't afford to look past them, so that's gonna make me really kind of come into this mindset with that dog mentality where I'm willing to go anywhere this fight's gonna take me in order to be successful. And I kind of like that feeling going into a fight.
And so, what does this do for your career? So you go out there, you get the impressive finish and everything. We know how you are. You're going to get on the mic, Stockton motherfucker, start calling everyone out in the division, right? But what does this do for your career? Because you're on a 3-fight winning streak. You've got the champion in the past fight and everything. Like, this has to set you up for something pretty big.
Yeah, man. At this point, I feel like the ball's in my court. It's up to me to go out there, get the job done against Mike Chiesa, and then like kind of take that mic and demand who I want next. I mean, in a perfect world, with everything lines up my way, I go out there, I beat Mike Chiesa, and I line up a fight with Leon Edwards shortly after.
So, what is it about Leon Edwards? 'Cause I feel like, because I know for you, I think everyone in the division has called you out, right? You can look from number one all the way to number 15. Like everybody said at some point they want Neil Magny. Is there anything with Leon Edwards, or is it just for you, furthering your career and trying to get to that title?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like nothing personal, no beef, anything like that. Like when it comes to Leon Edwards, it's more so of respecting. I mean, the guy's on an 8-fight win streak. I personally think he should be fighting for a title already, but at the end of the day, he's ranked number 4, number 3, whatever he is. And going in there being the guy who's on an 8-fight win streak definitely sets me up pretty well for potentially fighting for a title. So that's where my mindset is focused on right now, just getting to that title shot.
Speaking of Leon Edwards, we know he was supposed to main event against Khamzat Chimaev. As someone in this division who's grinded, especially as long as you have, what did you think when you see someone like that go from such a quick rise the way he did?
More power to him. I mean, the downside with MMA is like when you look at other sports and things like that, um we're drastically underpaid compared to our competitors and that kind of thing. So if a guy like Chimaev can go from fighting on a regional circuit over in Sweden to uh, being a main event in his third fight in UFC, more power to you. Go ahead and do it. I mean, I wish he can go out there and get as many likes, followers, paychecks, whatever he can get his way. by all means, I'm all for it. I mean, in other sports like football and basketball, I mean, we have guys that are coming straight out of high school or straight out of college, competing with 10-year vets on the field. So if Chimaev think he can hang with the best guys in the world and top 5, top 10, top 15 of the UFC, by all means, I welcome that challenge. Come on to the table. I mean, one or two things are going to happen. Either you're going to get the shit kicked out of you and get embarrassed about it, or you're going to surprise the world and show the guys that you can actually hang with the best in the world. And everything else kind of lines up for you down the road. So I kind of welcome that challenge.
Does it make it interesting for you because he's sort of, he's becoming sort of a star, right? Like I feel like he's got this sort of cult following. People are paying attention to him. Do you sort of look at it like, well, if you could land a fight with him, that could boost you even more? And especially you mentioned like either he gets the shit kicked out of him or he rises to the occasion. But do you sort of look at that at any sort of interest from that perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially where I was in the middle of last year. I mean, I'm just being a guy like Robbie Lawler, and rather than get my credit or props, like, man, dude, you just dominated Robbie Lawler. It was the opposite. Everyone was saying like, whatever. Robbie Lawler's over the hill. He should have retired. He should have did this. So to get a guy who's undefeated, has a lot of eyes on him, he's up and coming. He hasn't been tested yet. I saw it as a challenge. I was like, okay, cool. Like, if I beat an old guy, you tell me that I beat a guy past his prime. What if I beat this fresh guy with all this potential? What do you say then? So I was kind of welcoming that challenge just to go out there and rise to the occasion.
How much does it sour your victory over Robbie Lawler when? Because you're right, I did notice that a lot. It was like, if you lost against Robbie Lawler, then everybody would be saying shit about you. But you go out there and you beat Robbie Lawler, and all of a sudden it's like, well, Robbie Lawler. So does that kind of sour it for you at that point when you sort of look at it and it's like, I can't get any sort of credit either way?
It definitely it definitely gets a little frustrating from time to time. I mean, I felt like that happened so many times in my career thus far. I mean, whether it's fighting Johnny Hendricks or Carlos Condit or any of the other guys, it's like by the time they actually go ahead and accept the fight against me, and I do what I had a vision of doing some years prior, it's always like that sour what if, like, what if he fought him 5 years ago? In my opinion, the fight plays out the exact the same way, but and you're right. Had he beat me, it would have been like, oh my God, Robbie Lawler's back. He's the man. Let him fight for the title. But if I beat him, it's kind of like, yeah, well, whatever. You're supposed to win that fight kind of thing.
Well, when you come off a win like Robbie Lawler, who are you listening to? Because you have the media, the fans saying whatever, but what's your team telling you to sort of, validate that kind of victory so you know that, you're on the right track in that situation?
So we're breaking down the things that I could do better in the fight. Like I looked at the as immediately after Robert Lawler fight. We didn't even look at the victory. It was like, yeah, cool, I beat Robert Lawler, no big deal. But we were breaking down the technique immediately after the fight. I mean, there were 2 points where I was pretty close to locking up a submission against Robert Lawler, and he was able to get out both times. So we just kind of focusing on the areas that we can improve on in order to get those finishes and get those highlight reels opportunities down the road.
And so there was a time, I believe it was 2015, 2016. It felt like every single event you were fighting somewhere, whether it was the pay-per-view, the fight nights. We saw that a little bit in 2020, right? You managed to get 3 fights in. Is 2021 the year where we're gonna see Magny on every single event?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be able to fight early 2021, like fighting in January. That gives me 11 more months to compete. I mean, last year I needed 5 months to compete 3 times. So with having 11 months down the road to compete in, I want to do whatever it takes to get that title shot. I mean, if I beat Chiesa and now I'm ranked number 8 or 7, and I have 7 guys in front of me, then line those guys up, I'm ready to fight those guys and make my way to that title. So I'm definitely excited for what 2021 has in store for me.
And so before we wrap this up, though, this fight against Michael Chiesa, I feel like it's an exciting thing for you, right? Because you've got the main event. This is the kind of opponent. There's no excuses, right? You beat a guy like that. What are people going to say about Michael Chiesa? Like you can't say he was a lightweight. 'Cause this guy's enormous. We see him against
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah.
So, what's the excitement like for you heading into a fight like this?
It's super exciting because it feels at this point it feels like the ball's in my court, so to speak. It's up to me to go out there and get the job done. I can't blame it on politics. I can't blame it on the media. I can't blame it on fans. Like it's literally up to me to go out there and get the job done against Michael Chiesa, and then things open up down the road for me. So I kind of like that pressure. And I'm embracing that pressure to go out there and shine. And I know great things come of this fight once it's over with.
All right, one last question for you. You're going to hear it a million times, so I'm sure you're going to answer it a million times, of course. But how do you see yourself getting the job done in this one?
I think I'm gonna get the late submission or TKO in rounds 4 or 5. I mean, I'm gonna go out there and really just make this fight a grueling long fight for him. And I'm gonna make it drag out every way possible and just really make him question being in there with a guy like me. So I see myself getting that late finish in this fight.
All right, well, there we go. Well, listen, sir, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. We look forward to this fight. It's going to be a really good one.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much. Great talking to you.